This is going to be a treat, Kieran. There's no two ways about it. This is just ticks all my boxes, really. So this is a bottle of Bowmore single malt whiskey made on the island of Islay off the west coast. This particular one was distilled in 1997, matured in first fill Oloroso sherry hogsheads, and bottled in 2019. Over 20 years old. Tell from the colour straight away, huge sherry influence. It's got the smokiness of Bowmore, the tropical fruit flavours of Bowmore. I cannot wait to try this whiskey. It's going to be sublime. How do you feel? Are you equally enamoured?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm actually glad you're as enthusiastic as I am. I'm a bit of a Bowmore fanboy, to be honest. I think, Bowmore's got a big reputation mainly among collectors. I don't think whiskey drinkers generally go as enthusiastic for Bowmore compared to other Islay whiskies like Lafroig or Ardbeg or Octomore, which will have their fervent following. I don't think you get that as much with Bowmore among drinkers, so I'm actually really excited to be trying this one.
Yeah.
So.
Giddy with excitement.
Yeah, I'm almost shaking.
This particular one, I've never tried it before. I've heard from, I think it was 2 or 3 separate people, completely independent of each other, and they said this was the closest thing they've ever tried to Black Bowmore, which is a legendary bottling. Distilled in 1964, matured for 30 years, give or take, in sherry casks. Yeah, it could be an absolute treat. Bowmore, as you say, is very popular with collectors. It's not got that raw intensity of smoke, which I think you were alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
But other flavours, often that kind of tropical fruitiness is often coated. So should we stop rambling and have a drink, I think. That's probably the best way to do it. Let's crack this open. Right. Go. Then let's give this a little try. Right, shall we? Colour, obviously, straight away.
That's
huge sherry influence. We mentioned earlier this one has been matured in first fill Oloroso sherry hogsheads. So just to unpack that, obviously these are casks that have previously held Oloroso sherry in it. Oloroso is quite a heavy sherry, so lots of dried fruit, chocolatey deliciousness in Oloroso. The fact they're first fill casks means that they're casks that haven't been used to mature whiskey before. So all that Oloroso goodness is still very fresh in the wood. So that's why we've got so much colour, so much, even, a foot from my nose, I can still pick up these aromas from these first fill casks. The fact they're hogsheads as well. Sherry casks are usually sherry butts, which are about 500 litres, or hogsheads, which are about 250-ish litres. So smaller casks mean you get more interaction between the wood and the spirit. So loads and loads of delicious wood influence. And yeah, I cannot wait. Let's give this a little nose and see what we get. What do we think? Are we picking up more Bowmore or more sherry? Or a nice marriage of both?
I know this is very diplomatic. It's 50-50. You're getting some of that sort of salty smokiness, but there is for me, it's like a Christmas pudding.
Yep.
Just a rich fruitcake, a lot of raisins. Delicious.
I've
not even tried it yet, and
it's
mouth water.
I can tell it's going to be a heavy, like a chocolate fudge cake type thing. Really heavy, really dense, really sort of unctuous, if you like. It's going to be absolutely delicious. So yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Let's give this a try.
I think it's almost like treacle, isn't it? Dense and sweet.
I think I was surprised. I've had a couple of Bowmores before, and I think the finish on this surprised me a little bit. It's almost kind of, almost like not Lafroig-esque, but there's that slight, almost like a medicinal smokiness, which I haven't tasted too often with Bowmore. Usually it's a very kind of soft smokiness with those tropical fruit flavours that I keep bagging on about. But it's lovely. A huge amount going on. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it lived up to sort of expectations on the palate. I got a little bit of smoke on the nose, not much when I'm tasting it, but you do get that lingering peat smoke. Just it's not overpowering. It's not unpleasant in any way. There's almost like a licorice kind of sweetness, maybe like a hint of like aniseed coming through as well.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think
very pleasant.
Absolutely, I think with some sherried whiskies, it's almost like a cloying sweetness, almost like a sickly sweetness that's too much. I often pick that up with sherried whiskies that are quite kind of one-dimensional. It's just all about the cask. But this one doesn't feel like that at all. I think that slight kind of aniseediness that you mentioned, not bitterness, but it's almost like a dark chocolate kind of undercurrent throughout, stops it being too sweet. But there's a huge amount to unpack here. For me, it's a kind of dram that if you revisit it, maybe on a different day when the weather's different, or if you had something else to eat, you can pick up half a dozen new flavours that you didn't pick up before.
It's always the joy of a whiskey that's, this been matured in first fill Oloroso, so it's as old as it is, the strength it is as well. Every time, as you said, every time you go back to it, you'll get something a little bit different. So.
Yeah, it's got, for me, it's sort of layers of complexity to it. Loads to it, loads more to discover. But even on first tasting, I'd say it's an absolutely, maybe not life-changing, but it's absolutely cracking dram.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's delightful stuff. And I'd even forgotten about the strength as I was drinking it there. I had to sort of cast my eye down and look at what it was in the bottle. It's not as... doesn't taste as strong as it is.
Yeah, I think
it's very drinkable.
Very drinkable. I think I probably couldn't drink a pint of it. I think maybe a half pint would probably be...
half pint of whiskey.
Half pint of whiskey would probably be okay, given how tasty it is. But no, I'd absolutely beautiful dram, and really stunning stuff.